It's the day after Christmas. We're pleased to welcome now Dr. Ben Burnett, the president of William Carey University. Dr. Burnett, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me, Gerard, and good morning to everybody. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and are
Yes, sir.
now enjoying the after effects.
Absolutely. All right, so when do the students return?
Our students don't have about another 2.5 weeks. They got a full 3 weeks off. Faculty, or our staff and administration don't have that long, but our students come back around the 13th. So they get a little bit more of a break right now.
How was the first semester?
Actually pretty incredible. Yeah, a lot of colleges and universities around the country are, experiencing enrollment challenges, and of course, it's a term by term situation. We can't get too comfortable, but we had a record number of first-time freshmen, and a record number of transfer students, and a record number of students living on campus. Mm-hmm. So we felt like we got off to really a tremendous start from that aspect.
Yeah. What do you think the reason for that is, Dr. Burnett? Because most of the universities in our state are kind of defying the rest of the country in terms of enrollment. I mean, I'm constantly seeing reports about declining enrollment nationwide, and many colleges and universities are having to take action just to adjust and deal with that. What's going on at William Carey?
Well, and you're exactly right. I'm very proud. I'm a native Mississippian, lived here all my life, so the state will only get better if our education system gets better. So I'm proud that as a state, we seem to be an outlier right now. And across the nation, you're exactly right. I've read reports as much as a 35% decline across the nation, and there are a lot of factors contributing to that. Some of it's the demographic shift. Just there are less people in the college-aged range across our country, and it's kind of dipping for the next 3 or 4 years. But at William Carey, we've become very, very aggressive because it's a competitive market now. You can't just assume people are going to come to you, no matter what college or university that you're recruiting for. So we've been very aggressive to go after mostly the undergraduate population, and that's where we have seen the most increase in the last 3 years during my presidency. Our graduate population has really kept us afloat and driven William Carey. Our enrollment about 10 years ago was right around 3,000, and now counting all of our students, including high school dual enrollment, we're between 53 and 5,400.
Wow.
But most of that growth came from starting our College of Osteopathic Medicine, because we have 800 students just in the medical school alone. And we have a school of pharmacy at our Biloxi campus, physical therapy school. So we've added some tremendous, great programs, which we certainly don't want to abandon. But our undergraduate enrollment had not increased pretty much at all in the last decade. So we really went after that population. We upped our scholarships by 40%. We now pay for undergraduate textbooks. So when students come to William Carey, they don't have a $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 textbook bill during the year. And most people assume, since we're a private university, that we cost a lot more. But we're getting the message out that when you put everything together, we're competitive and many times less expensive than even the major public universities in Mississippi. So I just think it's messaging and working extremely hard. I've got a great team around me. The Board of Trustees are very supportive. The churches, the Baptist churches of Mississippi who support us, have really stepped up to the plate. So it's just been a team effort.
Yeah. Dr. Burnett, are you finding that you're attracting students not only from Mississippi but other states around the regions as well?
We are. Most of our undergraduate population, I'm very proud of this fact, is from the state of Mississippi. So we are, by and large, educating Mississippians. But out of that 5,300 I mentioned a while ago, we have about 350 international students. That does count our College of Medicine, which has probably about 10 to 15% international students within their population, maybe a little bit more. And then we have a fair number of athletes who are international students. We have nearly 400 athletes at William Carey with 21 athletic teams, which is another fact that a lot of people in Mississippi alone don't really realize.
Yeah, absolutely. What about placement, Dr. Burnett? How you doing there?
Uh, Outstanding. I mean, the College of Medicine certainly has a high rate of placement, and we have found that while a lot of them come from out of state or even out of the country, many of them, if not the majority of them, are staying in the state of Mississippi. So we're very, very proud of that. In fact, U.S. News and World Report in the last 2 years, we ranked number one year and number two the next year in placing doctors in rural areas. So that's very important to me because, most of Mississippi can be classified as a rural area. I was born in the big town of Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Uh, my, my brother has been a doctor in Yazoo City, Mississippi, for pushing 40 years. So,
Wow.
we're all about rural Mississippi, and so placing those doctors in those rural areas has been very important. Our physical therapy had 100% placement. Of course, nursing. Whenever you have a nurse who graduates, they can just have their pick of jobs.
Yeah.
And our nursing population, Gerard, went from about 500 last year, and this fall we enrolled 825 nursing students alone.
Wow,
So,
that's good,
um,
and so hopefully that'll satisfy some of the demand because you're absolutely right.
mhm,
The folks I talk to in the healthcare industry, it's a constant challenge for them to just keep up with their staffing needs.
yeah.
We don't have enough nurses, honestly.
Uh, and if you've never experienced that, I had the very unfortunate experience 2 or 3 years ago during the holidays, similar to this, going to the emergency room with a family member, and the emergency room, fully staffed, would have been 25 nurses, and that night they had five, and
Gosh,
and it was a night,
yeah,
it was a nightmare.
man, yeah,
So what our nurses do and what our nursing staff does, because our leadership within our College of Health Sciences has done such a great job of making the nursing program flexible and hybrid in a lot of ways, and that's really due to or the reason why they have increased so much. But we're not
yeah.
just not just placing doctors and nurses and physical therapists and pharmacists, but our School of Education. And I'm a retired school superintendent. Did 28 years in that branch of education. Now I've been 11 years in higher ed, and the demand for our teachers and school leaders across Mississippi, as you know, uh, is better now than it was a couple of years ago, but it's still just a crisis, especially in some areas. But we've been graduating the last 5 years on average. Our average graduation in the School of Education was 599 a year.
Hmm.
So we've been pumping out school leaders, teachers uh, into the local schools, and the majority of those, overwhelming majority, go into Mississippi schools, either public or private.
All occupations, as you well know, which are desperately needed in our state.
Mhm.
Everything you just
Right.
described, which I think is likely a large factor in why you're enjoying a strong enrollment and kind of defying the odds across the rest of the country. What about the outlook, Dr. Burnett? What are you guys thinking about in the future?
Well, we certainly want to keep on this same path. And our on-campus population has almost maxed out our capacity for residential students. So we've got to get in construction mode. Our College of Osteopathic Medicine this spring and summer will open up a 70,000 square foot Institute for Primary Care, which is going
Hmm.
to expand our training. And we're going to be a hub for training in the medical field, really across the whole South. But also in the immediate future, we want to expand in our Biloxi campus. I don't know if you've ever seen our
Beautiful.
Tradition campus.
I have. It's
It's
beautiful.
absolutely beautiful on Highway 67. If you take the shortcut down to I-10, that's courtesy of Hurricane Katrina. But it really became a blessing for us rather than a curse.
Yeah.
But we don't have any residential facilities down there, and so we are raising money and drawing up plans to add residential capability on our Gulf Coast campus so we can attract
Awesome.
more coast residents.
You're doing a great job, and the university is certainly a bright spot and a tremendous asset for the state of Mississippi. Really appreciate you joining us today, Dr. Ben Burnett, President, William Carey University. Happy New Year to you, sir. Thank you.
Happy New Year to you, and thank you, everybody, for listening.
You bet. Folks, we're coming right back in the Element Wealth